Christy here at Tinker Art Studio in Boulder, Colorado. I hope you enjoy our new free kids art workshop series, and if you do, be sure to like and subscribe. At any point during the workshop, hit that pause button when you're ready to work on your own projects. Come on back when you're ready. I won't move on without you. Now, let's get ready to make. In today's workshop, we are going to be using shaving cream and liquid watercolors to make a really fun piece of artwork. This process is one of my most favorite ways to use liquid watercolors, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. The first thing you'll need to do is think about an image or a picture that you would like to create in your artwork today. I would encourage you to then find a picture that you can look at as a reference of that image.
So I'm going to be making a cactus today, and I am going to look at some pictures of cactuses as a reference. This helps me get an idea of how I want to lay out my artwork today. So that's the first thing I'll do.
It can be a big support to us as artists to look at images or pictures as a reference to our own artwork rather than me thinking in my head, what does a cactus look like? It's been a while since I've seen a cactus. So it can be really helpful for me to look at pictures first before I get started with my artwork. Let's take a look at materials we'll need for today's workshop. Cream, watercolors, as well as droppers or pipettes in your watercolor containers with watercolor. If you don't have droppers, you could totally improvise with just a way to get drops of watercolor into your shaving cream. We'll also need paper. I have watercolor paper, but you could also use any white paper that you have. And then a scraper, like a credit card or an old gift card. A ruler works really well. And also something to stir the liquid watercolor into the shaving cream. I'll be showing you this process. So this is just a little coffee stir stick. The back of a paintbrush also works really well. A pencil, even a stick would work. I have a tray that I'm going to be using, which is helpful. You could also just work on a countertop or a surface that is easy to wipe off with a sponge. We'll be putting shaving cream down on that surface or in the tray. So it is helpful that it's a surface that can handle, just having shaving cream and water on it. I have a towel here as well to help wipe off my fingers or any of my tools that I'm using. This is such a fun process, and I'm going to show you today how to actually make an image in your artwork, and you can then marble the watercolor into your shaving cream, but doing so in a careful way to make a picture or an image in your artwork. This shaving cream artwork, these prints that we'll be making from shaving cream and liquid watercolors, is also really fun to just swirl all different colors in your shaving cream, pull prints from it on paper to make marbled paper in just kind of all sorts of abstract ways. Okay, let's get started. I am excited to make a cactus image in my artwork today. You might choose a different image. I have seen beautiful pieces made with all different kinds of images. Rainbows are really fun to make. Maybe you even want to make a picture of your cat or your dog. That might be really interesting and a fun challenge. So once you have chosen that image, you have it maybe in front of you as a reference, we will get started creating our artwork. The first thing we'll do is take our shaving cream and we're gonna make a bed of fluffy shaving cream on our tray or right on the counter where you're working. I went back and forth to make just kind of a nice fluffy bed of shaving cream. After I do that, there is something important that I need to do before I start adding my liquid watercolor drops, which is flatten it down so it's kind of smooth. I like to do that with my hand. You might also do it with a scraper, like a ruler or a card. Actually, I think I'm going to do it with this card instead of my hand. That seems to work pretty well. Your hand will also work well if you really enjoy the feeling of shaving cream on your hands. It can be fun to do it with your hands. Now, depending on the size of your paper, you want to make sure your bed of fluffy shaving cream is the same size, and I just scrape the extra off on my tray, but is the same size as your paper. So I'm going to kind of check. It's about the same size. My paper is a little bit bigger, so maybe I want to spread that bed out a little bit farther so that my paper will fit right on top after I finish. I'm noticing this scraper works really well to get a nice flat bed of my shaving cream. Now that I have that fluffy bed, I am going to start dropping my colors of liquid watercolor by squeezing up in my pipette and start drip, drip, dripping my colors right onto my shaving cream. Now remember, I'm going to be doing that picture of, I'm going for sort of an image of a cactus. I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see, but then I'll show you overhead afterwards. So because my cactus has a long, tall piece that comes right in the center, I'm going to leave a little room at the bottom that doesn't have green because I want to plant my cactus in the ground. I started with that tall part of the cactus, and then I'm going to do those arms of the cactus next. Now notice that what I chose to do is do kind of the outline of my cactus. Oops, a little bit dripped over there. That's okay, no problem. This is a pretty fluid process, meaning we have to just kind of go with whatever happens and have fun with it. This is not as precise as if we were drawing with a pencil on paper. So you can kind of see that I have the basic outline or image of a cactus. The tall part of the plant that comes up here, and then the arms of the plant. I chose to do just the outline of the plant because I will then take my stir stick, my coffee stirrer. Remember that you could also use something like the back of a paintbrush or even a pencil. And I am going to pull the paint color into the cactus to fill it in, kind of like I'm coloring in my cactus. So now I'm going to start doing swirly motions to drag that green liquid watercolor paint into the middle of my cactus. I'm doing little circles, swirling. And if I don't think that it's picked up enough up here, I could just go back and do more little circles. Circle, 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 to really swirl that paint into the middle of my cactus. Maybe I want it to be a little taller than what I did at first. I could just drag some of that paint up to make it a little taller, continuing to swirl that paint in all together. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with the way that looks right now. So now I'm going to move over to those arms, swirling my paint around And then over on this side, swirl. After I have swirled the liquid watercolor in and created sort of the main focal point of my artwork, which for me is this cactus, then I'm going to go back and add some other really interesting details to fill in the rest of my artwork. So I told you I wanted to kind of plant my cactus on the ground. So I'm going to choose yellow watercolor and drop some yellow dots underneath my cactus to kind of plant my cactus on the ground. Then I'm going to make sort of a blue sky and do some drops of liquid watercolor all around my cactus to fill in the sky. But the other thing that I want to do is add a couple of flowers to my cactus. So I have this kind of magenta color, and I think I'm going to put a little flower detail right on the top of this arm with just one drip, and then maybe one over here on the side of this arm. I think I might just have 2, maybe 3. I'll do a third flower on the top of that center part. So now I have my pink flowers, my blue dots that I can swirl into the background, and also the yellow ground. And I'm going to do that same process that I showed you before, just swirling my paint in. Now you might like to add some more colors too, depending on what your artwork is or what you choose to do as an artist. Remember that you are the artist and you get to decide. I think some little drops of yellow or purple would also look really nice in the sky area. I want to show you just one other thing to pay attention to. If I get too close when I'm swirling my blue, if I get too close to my green cactus, you might be able to see it's going to start to pull the green into the blue and swirl it together a little bit. That's okay if that happens. If you want to be very careful around the edges of your cactus, you can do little tiny circles to just be really careful as your blue gets close to your green of your cactus or of whatever artwork or picture you are working on. But you can try to go slowly and carefully with small little circles so that it doesn't mix together. I like to do the same thing when I swirl my flowers in, and I like to swirl all the same color at once. So I'm going to find all the flowers and do all of those at one time. I just switched from blue to flowers, but I also like to do all the blue at one time or all the yellow at one time. Okay, I'm going to keep working on swirling all of my watercolor into my shaving cream, and then it will be really fun to show you how we do the print next. Now we're going to take our paper and lay it down right on top of our shaving cream with liquid watercolor swirled in. Once I lay it down, then I need to really kind of gently pat, pat, pat to get out any of those air pockets. And I'll actually kind of see the shaving cream squeeze out the edges a little bit. And this is important to make a nice print to collect all of that watercolor onto your paper. After I kind of pat it down, then you can see I'm sort of smushing it all the way across to make sure that my paper is coming in contact or touching everywhere I just worked so hard to swirl that watercolor in. I think mine's probably pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to peel it up. Whoa. And move my tray to the side. And then take my scraper. I'm going to use a ruler and scrape the shaving cream off to reveal the print. I have a lot of shaving cream on my scraper. I'm just going to scrape it off on the edge of my tray because there's still some more shaving cream over here on the side. Oh, cool. And I want to be sure to get it all off. Now you can see that a little bit of, and I'm using my towel to clean my scraper because a little bit of my blue pulled down into the yellow in the bottom. I think that was because my scraper wasn't clean. But remember that this is just such a fun process to play with and experiment, and you won't know exactly how it's going to turn out until it's all finished. Wow. I am pretty happy with the way this turned out. It's so fun to see what happens. Another idea is, if you'd like, you can go back in with a Sharpie or colored pencils or even markers and kind of outline some of your shapes or find some interesting designs and shapes that you'd like to add details to. Like maybe you'd like to add some details to the flowers or something in the ground. That is also really fun to do with this project. The other thing that's a lot of fun to do, once you have pulled your first print, is to take that shaving cream, have some more fun with it, keep swirling it around and pulling more prints with paper that you have on hand. I hope you enjoyed making your own artwork today. And keep playing with this process with the shaving cream and liquid watercolors. It is really fun to make marbled papers that you can then use in collage or turn into cards. I would love to see your artwork. Be sure to tag us on social media at Tinker Art Studio or send me an email so I can see what you've been up to. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe so that you can see more of our free kids art workshops that we'll continue releasing. I'm also very excited about a big announcement we have coming up very soon with more workshops and access to a virtual studio that we'll be launching. I can't wait to tell you more. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.